What did it take to make our Crusty 5.9 Cummins the first vehicle in the United States to run on ECU Masters diesel driver and EMU Pro? I'm Jeff from Exergy Performance, and today we're going to go over what it took to integrate ECU Master product into this 2004 Dodge 5.9 Cummins. So, as is the case with every project vehicle, the first step is always getting the thing running. Thankfully, we had our dyno test mule, our 6.7 engine, that we were able to get started running on ECU Master hardware back in January. So that gave us a little bit of a leg up and a head start on being able to have the confidence to integrate fully into Crusty and get it up and going on ECU Master hardware. Once we knew that we could run the engine on ECU Master hardware, the next step was getting it installed and integrated into the vehicle. Now, the factory ECU is located on the side of the engine, which meant that if we wanted to use the factory wiring harness, we needed to mount the ECU and the diesel driver on the engine and make a jumper harness to adapt to the factory wiring. Once we had all of the wiring figured out and the ECU and diesel driver installed on vehicle, we were ready to attempt an engine start and to continue on with the calibration process. Once we had all the hardware installed and we were ready to, go ahead and try an engine start, we threw in a base calibration that we knew probably wasn't going to run the absolute best, but it was going to be a starting point to work from, and all of that was based on what we had learned from our dyno mule back in January. So as expected, once we got the engine running for the first time, it was definitely a little bit rough. We expected that because there are differences in the way that the injectors are driven for a 6.7 injector and a 5.9 base injector. So we were able to make some adjustments, get everything smoothed out so that the engine would run idle nice and smoothly. We didn't have any haze, anything like that. And at this point, basically, we're ready for our first drive. So since this had never been done before, there were a lot of things that were just completely unknown. We didn't know what issues we might face once we got into this. We knew we could run an engine on ECU Master hardware, but as far as being able to, run and drive and actually put the vehicle under load and move down the highway, that was something we just didn't know. So we had to keep iterating and making small improvements, get everything lined out, mess with pilot quantities, figure out what the engine liked, what it didn't like, and continue building upon that. And at this point, we've now been driving this vehicle around. We have about 1,000 miles on it, and so far everything has been really good. Again, this is very early in the developmental process. There is still some work on the ECU Master side that we've been communicating with the team over in Poland to make sure that gets handled. And I really look forward to continuing on with this project and seeing what limits we can reach. Currently, we're not able to integrate with the factory dash. That is something that we will continue to work on. But for the interim and for ease and speed, we decided to go ahead and install an ECU Masters ADU7. Now, the really cool thing about this dash is that you can configure it in real time. If you want to set up any channels and make sure that they're reading properly, I can sit here and I can drag around where my speed is displayed, and I can make all of these changes right now as I'm sitting here and even as the vehicle is running to make sure that everything is the way that I want it to be. So for the same reason that the factory dash doesn't currently work, because it communicates with the engine control module on Dodge's PCI bus. So what that also meant is that we weren't able to communicate with the HVAC control module, which meant we had no AC. And we plan to bring this vehicle down to Ultimate Callout Challenge in Indy. And for any of you that have been to Ultimate Callout Challenge, it's always hot, it's always humid, and driving a vehicle down there without AC just wasn't gonna fly. So what we ended up doing was hooking up a button so that we could request AC, tying that into the ECU Masters dash and communicating over CAN bus so that we could still control the AC compressor with the ECU Masters computer, monitoring the AC pressure, monitoring what the compressor pressure was, what the evaporator temperature is, fan speed, engine speed, all of that. We can provide different cutout parameters. So if we go over 80% throttle, we can go ahead and kick AC off. If we go over 3,000 RPM engine speed, we can kick AC off just to remove that additional parasitic load and provide for optimal performance. We're really looking forward to continuing to develop the ECU Masters controls on this platform. And be sure that you stay tuned for more updates, and who knows, there may be another vehicle running on ECU Masters in the near future.